I'm a really firm, to the point of like dogmatic believer in like the power of contingency in these kinds of explanations for why is, X lobby successfully influential on a given issue. A number of things have to be in place, both about the character of the lobby itself, the issue that they're fighting on, and the receptivity of the government in power at a given time, to say nothing of the permeability of that government to outside influence at all. It is not a simple question. And I think diaspora politics, however, as we have shown in the show, these were curated diasporas. The United States government specifically filtered European emigres after World War II to make sure that they were selecting for more anti-communist bunches. That's, by the way, part of why they didn't want a bunch of fucking European Jews coming to the United States after the Holocaust, and instead thought that they should shunt them over to Israel, or what became Israel. I think that diasporas, and then you get into the Cuban diaspora and the Iranian, which is formed as we know it in the wake of a communist, socialist revolution in 1959. Then you have the Iranian Revolution in 1979, and that stimulates another diaspora's growth, and so on. And it's like, I'm detecting a pattern here. These diasporas that have major political influence and major axes to grind politically are also bound up in, one way or another, like, what has been American foreign policy, the active effort at either like sowing regime change, as in the case of working through foreign proxies. So in the case of Cuba, the United States tries to use these Cuban exiles to foment regime change. And then in the case of the Iranian Revolution, Iran, I believe it was 29 is a figure I'm very fond of. 29% of all congressionally approved arms exports in the 1970s went to the government of Iran. We poured heart and soul and a lot of US dollars into making Iran a very powerful country. And then overnight, that suddenly fell into the hands of an enemy. And so the Iranian diaspora, became like a very important piece of like how we told the story about what was going on in Iran and who were the losers and why the losers of this new regime are more sympathetic than the winners and so forth. Mm. And so to me, it's like in the Cold War, right? I just described like three situations that had a lot of contingencies for why those diaspora lobbies were primed to become influential on the issues alone. And I think these days, those diaspora lobbies, like a lot of them are kind of running on fumes. I would say that is certainly the case for, like, I know Marco Rubio is in a position of power, but like the ideological basis of like the Cuban lobby, for example, even at this moment of like what should be great triumph for them, right, is not that strong. Seamus, I certainly don't have to tell you about like the kiddie pool intellectual and moral depth of like the people who compose and brandish, like Iranian diasporism as like a political opposition force to the current government, to the Islamic Republic.
You've deployed a massive armada and have signaled unmistakably that brutality's time is ending. The Iranian people heard you say help is on the way, and they have faith in you. Help them. And history will record you alongside not just the Iranian nations, but the world's greatest heroes.
It's preposterous. They're limp imitations, like then was tragedy, now farce, fine. That's why I opened with that thing about contingency, because I think the diaspora stuff is like super contingent on moments in time, supportive governments. And in this case, we're now seeing, actually, I would argue, like kind of a decline of effective diaspora politics. And that what's really left right now is just piles of money. And they're aligning in partisan. They're moving to partisan alignment.
That lady Machado from Venezuela, right? She was a good case study, in the decline of diaspora opportunism. Because she was supposed to be in there, and then she didn't even get her Peace Prize. She didn't even get her participation trophy. She had to give that over to Trump.
She was robbed.
She was robbed. I voted for her.
Accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again.
I'm trying to imagine, like, who's the next kind of, like, Solzhenitsyn,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's going to be like a guy who writes like romanticy or something.
It's that lady with the flower in her hair, the big hair.
Messi also, she's washed.
Oh, Sideshow Bob.
Yeah,
absolutely. Before I throw it to Dylan, I did want to just bring up something about the Iranian diaspora. I'm writing about their protests ahead of the World Cup for Defector, And there was one protester that was interviewed by Israel Hayom where they were talking about how they wanted Bibi to free Iran from 1,400 years of oppression.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh boy, I think that might take a lot of work.
Usually they're so good with and accurate with the numbers, though. That's surprising me. That doesn't sound like the community I know.